Marsh Pod. We are a roving edition again. We're getting a little outside ambiance for this episode. But yeah, I think one thing, just quick news update. We are expecting some changes in the near future for Marsh Pod. So when those come out, I don't know. You know, the content's going to keep coming for you, but some slight changes to that. So be ready. It's all good things, all exciting things. I think it's going to make the viewing experience a little bit better. All right, I apologize, going through a bit of a wind tunnel before, but you might get some sounds of construction. But that's what you get when we're doing a roaming pod. But what are we talking about? We're talking about Wednesday night action in SimWorld Hoops, and there was a lot of good ones. There was a lot of notable action that went down last night. And we'll go game by game. I'm not gonna say there's a high, there's a low. That's just a discredit to it. So we're just gonna go one by one, right? Sorry, you're getting some music. This is roaming pods. These are fun, right? This is day in the life, my mans and women's. All right. So first off, Beasts of the East. They take down Middle East. We knew this was coming. Beasts is a top team in this league. They play well. They've established themselves to having a guy that can be a number one. The one knock on Beasts is, can they beat top teams? The concern was never that they weren't going to beat bad teams, and they beat a middle of the road Middle East team. I don't read much into it. Redmond is doing exactly what we would have thought he should be doing. He's got the capability at times to be a number one dude, and he showed that against Middle East. So this isn't a shout from the rooftops, they're back, watch out for them, but it's also a win that they had to get, right? They have to beat these teams that you're supposed to beat. You don't knock a team for getting that win. I'm not going to knock Middle East for getting that win. All right, next game from last night, that would be the Yacht Club. And I mentioned this in the thread. This is an eye-opener, man, because the Yacht Club, ever since they had those first two wins right after Adam Max came back, they were a team that you were excited about because they had so many things that you can bring to the table, from speed, shooting, and size, but they never strung it together. And so when they beat Bay Area, it's a really great win because you say, hey, that's what we wanted. We wanted to see them go up against a top team and come away with a victory. The issue with it was this just a drop in the pan, right? It was just a flash in the pan, rather. Were they actually going to take this game and say, all right, now we've got to turn this around. We're going to use this as momentum, or was this going to be a situation where they just got up for one game? They got up because they know they needed to get up, and so they did. This is 2 of 3. We talked on the Tuesday pod. They have 3 big games this week. This is number 2, okay? And they need to be able to get number 3, which is tonight. But this was a big one because I thought that they were for sure going to fall. I thought for sure this was a game, I don't want to say for sure, but I thought this was a game that they definitely had a chance to kind of be overlooking. Oceana is a good basketball team, and now they kind of get through them. Yacht Club did not let go of the rope. This is a huge win, but now they've got to finish this week because they've got 2 of 3 momentum with a big third game Thursday night. So by the time we recollect on this one, they're going to have a third one up. What do they do with that one will be really important to kind of understand what they are. Indy Stripes beats Queen City Kings, 2 teams they both are sitting around 500. Yeah, Benari is great, but Barkley was awesome in this one too. 26 from Barkley. Both these teams, you don't really know what to take from them because they're going to have great games, they're going to have bad games. They both are just part of that SimWorld middle class that neither of them really goes great. They play really good, they play really bad, they beat up on one another, but they never really rise above. That's just what Indy Stripes is, and that's just what Queen City Kings are. They sit in that middle ground. They're both really good. I think they both have chances. Odom is the type of scorer from the post that can be really dominant, so they both have the types of players that can get them big wins in the playoffs, but my continued concern with them is kind of string together games. But this was a good one for Indy because they need to try to find a way to get above 500. Southeast Select, they take down Beyond the Arc. Look, I saw it posted on the opener this morning. Was this the best SimWorld performance? No, it wasn't. Trey Turner was awesome, 35 points, 5 of 7 from 3, but Johnny Ballgame Baldwin last season had more points and a more dominant effort. Kadarius Loftus had a better 3-point shooting night. He made like 12 in that game when he scored 40-something, 43. Heck, even the triple-double to kick things off this season. I don't think that I don't look at Trey Turner going for 35 and going nuts. Here's the great part about Trey Turner. I think that's just Trey Turner, right? You don't watch that game and be like, wow, that came out of nowhere. You say, yeah, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen because he's that good of a basketball player. He's gotten lost in the fray of who's the number one player in SimWorld Hoops because Bronny and DJ Wagner do a lot of great things. Trey Turner is that good. He's not as explosive of a player, but he's so reliable as a jump shooter that he doesn't need to be because his game is not getting to the rack. Wagner and Bronny, that's really what their game starts and ends on. They can shoot the three, but that's not what they do consistently. Trey Turner does, and that's why he was awesome. Speaking of, Showtime takes down Latin America. Good team beating a bad. Bronny was great. We continue to get good performances, though, from other pieces. Jackson McLean, 4 of 6 shooting, 7 assists. I think the 7 assists is the biggest part of that one because it shows that it's not just Bronny driving, dishing, and a shooter is making a bucket. There are other guys on this team that are handling the ball, making plays, and going out and doing great things. That's a big development in these last couple weeks, and it's why I think Showtime is a much more serious threat than they were 2-3 weeks ago with the arrival of Jackson McLean and Nick Moss as very legitimate players on this roster, very legitimate playmakers, very legitimate scorers. That is huge. I'm not discrediting the guys that have been here before that. Corey Yams is still going to be incredibly important to this team, for example, but now they're getting some other ball handlers on this team. That's dangerous for them. All right, last game of the night was H-Town beating Best Coast. Question marks after that Tuesday loss for sure. I still have question marks. Best Coast is a really great basketball team, and we never thought that H-Town couldn't be. Keithan Carter was finally kind of given the reins, and he took full advantage of it. 22 points, 8 3-point shot. If this team can get a coach that truly understands their strengths and it puts together a game plan that accentuates them, this is still a really awesome basketball team. So them beating Best Coast, I don't look at it and say, well, Best Coast isn't good anymore, right? That's our rule. We don't overreact or underreact to a win or a loss. But if we talk about the middle-class teams kind of beating up on one another and they're just constantly kind of moving up the ladder a little bit, the same is happening really with the top 10 teams. You know, they're kind of just constantly just beating up on one another, to the point that I might ask this question, and I know what Rick's going to say, kiss of death. Rick, chill, brother. Run DMV has been the most consistent team over the past 2 months. If you want to look at this landscape right now and say who's the best team, I think it might be them because of the consistency that they've had. They have not kind of let off the rope or let go of the rope, as we were talking about the Yacht Club earlier in their second game against Oceana of the week. But they're playing well. So to the game that happened last night, I'm not surprised H-Town won. I wouldn't have been surprised either way. But they need a coach that can accentuate their pieces, because if they have that, I think they can be a very dangerous ball club. But with that being said, the way that these teams have been playing, the run that Run DMV on makes me think that they may be the top team. Contrary point, they do we still trust Kamarian Bracken over DJ Wagner, over Darius Outlaw, over actually engaged in the game plan, not because of the player, because of the coach, Keith and Carter? I don't know. Trey Trust has that argument for Run DMV as well. I don't know. But what I do know is that if I have to pick among those teams, what the originators, who I think are a very serious candidate in that, and they have had a similarly consistent run, it'd be the originators and it'd be Run DMV. I know they weren't at the top of the pointless power rankings, but it's because those are pointless, because those are the best two coaches. No disrespect to Coach Pope, I think he's a phenomenal coach, but what we've seen from those two coaches has been really, really impressive. I think Bay Area is worthy of being in that conversation, so I'm not taking them out of that, but it's probably those three right now sitting at the top based off their ability to kind of consistently play well, not get beaten up. They've had some losing streaks early in the season. Run DMV, Originators had a losing streak, but they found ways to bounce back to the point that you feel more confident in them moving forward. So what's tonight? Run DMV Yacht Club. Beautiful. There's no kiss of death crap coming from Rick this week because I talk highly of both of them. One of them's going to win. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Gotham 5 Middle East, I think that's a good one for Gotham 5. They're trying to kind of stay right the ship after the debacle with Velarde. I still have question marks about the organizational functionality of that group. I think that's a big one, though, to watch from that standpoint. And then Bad Boys, I think they need to beat Oceana. Obviously, there's two others beyond the Arch and Gulf Coast and Cascadia Reigning Trays. I will be on the Run DMV Yacht Club call with the one and only Big Bob. I think that's the game of the night. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Does Run DMV keep this extenuated wing streak going, or does Yacht Club go three for three on the week? Both are very important to establishing something. I think the game is probably bigger than Yacht Club, but I would take Run DMV. There you go, kiss of death. Talk to you later.